The Cathars had the Book of Love. This is why the Inquisition happened. This is why the Catholic Church killed them. Because basically they would get up, greet the sun, they had the written word from Jesus Christ, and the Cathar Creed, there was a man that in my other DVD I have for sale, he was a Templar, but he also channeled the Cathars while he was here, and he wrote that creed. If you want a copy of the creed, there's a paper in the back. So what I do when I go to these places is I create a vortex, send it where I want it to do, and I repeat the Cathar Creed to put love into that area. Okay? This is a 12th dimensional stargate. The castle up on top is Mount Segura. This was the last stronghold of the Cathars. In 1244, they marched them down, and right up there where the end of the walkway is, I got a pointer right here. Right there, they put all these people into a crematorium and burned them alive. And their only crime was they had the Book of Love. That's their only crime. That's what the Catholic Church did to them. This is my son Mark and my husband. And I have a hard time because I don't climb very well. So my son pushed me up this mountain. This is about the last time I went up it. I bet I go to France probably 2 or 3 times a year. Because what happened to me in 1996, I was at Rennes-le-Château. That's another famous place, and near there's Mount Bucharest, which is a 12th dimensional stargate. And 12 Knights Templars came up to me. Well, let me back up a little bit. What happened is, as we were going through our busload of 30 people, we picked up about 1,800 discarnates. These are entities that attach to you. So what I did is I went up on a hill and overlooked the Blancheford estates and also Rennes-le-Château, and we created a vortex. And while I was standing there creating the vortex, 12 Templar Knights came around. And what they said to me, Mary, you have been trained as a Mary. Now if you saw the last talk, the Marys used to wear a diamond over their heart, and they could actually spin to make a Merkaba. And they could walk into a room and emanate green fire where it was totally bringing peace. This is what the Cathars could do. This is what the Marys. Mary was a station. Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Mary Jacobi, Mary Salome. This is a station. And these Marys could actually teach this. And this is how they brought peace. Okay? Now, this is in the museum. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a look at Mount Segura is really right up there. Okay, and this is really a picture of that mountain. That is a 5 or 12 dimensional stargate. And these people went up there. Originally, this was a woman's dormitory. Now, this is what the castle looked like before they put the siege engines on it and broke it down. I will show you a picture of me sitting inside of the castle, but that's actually what the castle looked like before. It was a woman's dormitory. And to be a Cathar, after you've lived your life, you went to these places, you served, and you became what they call a prefect, where you learned how to know God. And their theory was, if you know yourself, you know God. You don't have to have a priest to intervene. And then I just got back from France the end of June, and I went with Chet Snow because I'm tired of driving myself. This way I went with 25 people, and it's a lot easier. And that's Chet and me in the museum. Okay, when I went with my son and husband, you can see me sitting right there. You can see me sitting right here. Right there. I did the Holy Grail vortex, and then I recited the Church of Love. Not more than 10 minutes later, that's the exit where they went out before they were, not more than 10 minutes later, my son was standing on the other side of the wall, and you had this jet plane. He was so close you could look at his face. He wasn't a football field away from the side of that mountain. What Kenneth Killick says is if you create a vortex, you poke a hole in their grid system, which some people call Star Wars or high altitude aurora, whatever we call it, HARP. You poke a hole in their system, and they've got to investigate what the heck you're doing. Scott was telling me that Bob did the same thing with an electrical device, and he had helicopters. Right, Bob? Yeah. Yep. The Cathars took something special. Before they were sacrificed themselves, they sent 4 people over the side. Now, a lot of people speculate what that was. The Cathars were the lineage of Jesus and Mary, and they may have sent the child, the true lineage. There's Merovingian kings, and I'm not going to go into French history, but Dagobert was murdered in the 700s, and his son Sigebert came to this area, and he was the true bloodline of Jesus and Mary. They were the Merovingians. If you want to look at it, Princess Di was a Merovingian also. And the Windsors, Charles and his mother, were not of the bloodline of Mary and Jesus. So that's why they had an arranged marriage, because they wanted their children to be of the bloodline of Jesus and Mary. Some people say that, you know, when I used to start talking about that, people would get up and leave because they couldn't, but now it's after the Da Vinci Code, it's a pretty accepted thing. This is the cave where they say that they came down. They either could have had the treasures of the Cathars, probably maybe the Book of Love, which was the writings of Jesus, or they had the true offspring of the bloodline of Jesus and Mary. Nobody knows what their treasure was that they took off Mount Segura before they were executed. This year I won a trip to Rome, and I thought it would be kind of cute because the Romans actually crucified the Cathars. So I thought I would go to the obelisk in St. Pete's Square, create a Holy Grail vortex, go to the dome, create a Holy Grail vortex, 2 tuned vortexes. You can send that energy from one to the other. This is how we have to become grid keepers. This is what I want people to learn to do with their own area. And I read the Book of Love, the Cathar Creed, to put the Cathar Creed back into the Roman Catholic Church. Something strange happened when I was doing that. I told you I traveled with Templar Knights. The whole courtyard filled up with Templar Knights. And out the entranceway came Pope John, the last pope, in his golden robes. What the Catholic Church did is they encased him in gold just before he died so his soul could not escape, and then put him in many, 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 many lead coffins. My true trip there to Rome was to release Pope John. That's what they wanted me to do. That's what my Templar Knights wanted me to do. This cloud that was standing there moved over the dome, and out came Pope John, freed. Now that's my experience. You can take it for what it's worth. But it's time we became grid keepers, and it's time we protected these spirits who need to go to a higher dimension and are trapped. And I kid you not, the whole system of HARP and ELF, the Star Wars program, is a big way to trap people on this planet. That's what their game is. So it's time we poked holes in it, and it's time we learned how to move the energy and to help these trapped souls.